chose three small pieces from it. That the book is a book about relationships and has some characters. Because of time issues, I decided to choose pieces that weren't so related to the plot. So, and at the same time, I decided to read the first piece is about, maybe it's about North and South inside Mexico, like tensions, the Sur, Mexican Sur and Mexican Norte, Tijuana, Michoacán, to be precise. And the second piece is about like tensions between Mexico as South and United States as North. So a different South-North relationship. And the last one is on United States as North, as global North, and the global South. So I hope the South-North is explored here. I always get to discover my mother's in bad trips. I'm a prostitute, and my first mother was a prostitute too. Her name is Veronica. She was raped when she was young. She was used all the time. She was raped like every woman in my family for as long as we can remember. Still, my family, an unforgettable body. Her name is rape again and again. Her name is tonight. I'm a man, and that's the only reason I wasn't raped. I was supposed to be the rapist, like my older brother and every man in my family for as long as we can remember. Becoming a rapist is called, at least in my family, loyalty. Our memory doesn't want to remember. We are the ones that forget. I didn't become a rapist because I decided I would become a prostitute. I was weak. I became a man. This is the book on how a character cannot be one. This is a book, a little book on how a man is nothing. Never a character, a single person, an identifiable being. He cannot be he. He always needs to divide. He doesn't accept giving himself to a woman or to a book. My mother became a whore at 16. One night, my grandmother notified her, and notified is the word my mother uses to tell the story. A man notified her, my grandma, that she needed to give her daughter to him so he could fuck her because she was nothing. It was one of those places where a woman is worthless. It was no place in particular, no place at all. Mexico, like the United States, is full of these places like this. And the man told my grandmother either she gave up nothing to him or he was going to fuck nothing anyway. So my grandmother told nothing. She either was going to get fucked or she was going to get fucked. So fucked up, left Colima and went to work as a waitress, a whore, in Guadalajara. From Guadalajara, she went to Nuevo León, Tamaulipas, Sonora, and then ended up, of course, in Tijuana. She was a whore all over the country of maize. Mexico is great. Then she crossed to the States, a whore there too. There she met my father, a Mexican man working in the fields. He was an alcoholic, and out of loyalty became an alcoholic too, even though I never got to know him. He just fucked my mother for a few months and suddenly left for Mexico again. Meanwhile, he raped my older sisters. She was a waitress again. She became her own fortress again. She met a man again. The man raped her. Only this time the rape was my rape. He never believed my mother had stopped being a whore. 20 years passed and he was convinced my mother was going to be a whore all her life. That's why he never left his wife. We were, they say in Mexico, su casa chica. My mother was an alcoholic. My mother had no true house. She lived in the mine of my stepfather. I never knew my mother. I only knew his smile, his words. Every time I think of my mom, I hear the voice of my stepfather defining her either as a whore or as a nothing. Emperatriz, he said. That's why I'm obsessed with the mind of man. You already got mixed up. That's not the South. That's South. Anyway. English brings me to my mother. English brings me to poverty and beginnings. When my mother came to the north, some people laughed at the way she talked. People from rural areas in the south talk like birds, she says. So people laughed when she talked. The guy at the store where she bought bread and milk to eat before going to work simply laughed at that bird girl from the south. People from the north, you know, are very ironic. They don't believe in identity. I hear my mom all the time in my head, finding a boy somewhere in the woods, a boy saying names, the voice of a bird woman. And the boy wasn't calling her son or lovers. She was just saying names, and the names didn't belong to anybody. They were only sounds coming out of her mouth, eating bread, drinking milk. No sons or lovers yet. Only a young woman saying names, most of them male names. And the air in the room got filled with empty names before she left for work, dancing for them. The first place she lived in when she came to the city was a motel downtown. I've been in that motel 2 or 3 times. The motel has long stairs, really long ones. When you go up, the place even feels bigger than it really is. So you go to the AM, PM on the corner, and you return to the motel, stop at the facade, you look at it, and the place is just not that big. You go inside anyway, and while you're using the stairs, there's no way you're not going to decide this is a very freaky place. The kind of place where you belong. And you start to wonder if this is the motel where your mother lived 30 years ago, or your mother's womb, and you're still in it. And the supervisor working there is probably the same guy that knew my mom. He simply had to notice her when she lived here. She was so beautiful. She was the most beautiful bird in the city. Her eyes and wings were so beautiful, no human could see her. All of them saw her in the form of a woman. That year somebody took a picture of her, a picture all about her legs. He's probably the same guy. I bet he has no idea I'm the son of that woman. I'm sure if I mentioned something about this, the same joke would appear in the mind of both of us. A poor joke about him being my dad. But maybe he's not the same man. But I'm sure if I asked that fat old guy how many years he'd been working here, and I explained to him, why am I asking that kind of question, even if he weren't that guy looking at my mother on her way to the stairs, the joke would still appear in his mind and mine, because you have to build a relationship with unreality. And the best way is 2 jokes like that. Jokes that both create a distance and fill a space. Jokes made in order for us not to notice how empty the whole situation really is. My father and I use jokes. She used names. And finally, I realized war was not taking place. War meant images taking place in my head. War was the way I was destroying her. And I was projecting all those images on a place called the Middle East. The Middle East is a symbol of the memory we need to attack brutally. A mysterious place where women don't show their eyes, so you don't jump into them. I was destroying her vagina. I was destroying her tits. I was a cancer, and the cancer spread. Other people had similar images to replace their life with spectacular happenings. Everybody seemed to have an idea about this plot to who replaced their lives with supposed images of a supposed war in the Middle East. No war was really happening. Hegel says space is the negative possibility of there. The point, he says, is the negation of space taking place in space itself. A point-filled space, suppressing it, leaving less and less space with the appearance of more and more points. Points which become lines. Space is being eaten away through points, like an intellectual novel killing character lives through frequent remarks. And like Hegel's point, suppressing space, every image of the supposed war in the Middle East was covering up a real life, piece by piece. And where the image of her real face was, now was Saddam's. President Bush was part of the puzzle too. Another provisional puzzle we were obsessed with in order to cover up what's below the puzzle. And with every piece of the puzzle falling into place, less and less. There was an underground war taking place. It is the war to destroy both. You call that language? I call it hate crime. In every couple there's a United States and there's an Iraq. The United States is the so-called victimizer, the master that ejects violence, the cyclops, the warlords, the troops he sends, the kids. And then, on the other side, the so-called victim, the so-called poor little you, the one that doesn't deserve the treatment you're getting, your bad luck, the you-know-who. Iraq, one and the same, the whole circle of double lies. The he doesn't get it. The United States invades, wants to dominate, while Iraq plays dead. The United States goes blind. Iraq plays innocent victim. United States uses images. Iraq plays silently. Iraq sabotages the master plans. Iraq denies any involvement. The United States game is justice. Capitalist combat. I was the United States. That's why I have been obsessed with it. Because the United States is our allegory, as are Iraq, Mexico, Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, Cuba, Panama, or Vietnam. And the Jews going from extermination camps to becoming the Nazis of the Middle East. From victims to victimizer, thanks to a Holocaust. You see those missiles hitting their targets? That's the way you launch, the way you behave, so-called brother. That's the way you exist, so-called sister. Those explosions, the effects your words have, your action on others. See those tanks, the artillery, the planes. That's the way your career advances. Yeah, that's the way your career advances. That's the way your day-to-day works. You see those Marines? That's your scared genitals. You see those victims? That's the way you play with the media. Bush was Iraq. Iraq will be Bush. But don't worry, not in your lifetime. You're going to be happy someday. Not in your lifetime, but happy someday. When you're part of his, her memory info. Your life will be replayed infinite times in the form of a micro Hollywood movie. Then you will be happy. Don't worry. Why am I telling you the truth? Because you don't deserve anything at all. You're trash. You're only what I desire and nothing more. You belong to me. You keep listening to me. You keep wondering. Thanks to me, you feel powerless. Thanks to me, you don't reveal you're destroying yourself and me too. You are here on earth only to pay tribute to my images, my words, and my ideas. The United States never prevails. In every case, the United States fails. Iraq's sole mission in life is not to win, but Iraq will always defeat you. He, she has his, her own tactics. The United States in every couple ends up going mad. All our roads head to insanity. All our roads lead to love. And love is what you now call war.